Welcome everyone, welcome to the panel discussion, and welcome to our panelists also. We've got some incredible leaders representing government, education, and the private sector too, which is so important as we're looking at what are the type of workforce programs that we need to develop in the state. As mentioned, I have the opportunity of leading a department for the state called Talent Ready Utah, and our statutory role is really to listen and represent the voice of industry as we're looking at developing short-term and long-term workforce solutions for the state. This goes back into working with K-12 through apprenticeship programs, pre-employment training, clear up through alignment of bachelor's degrees and deep technology investments for the state. And so really am honored that we get to work with so many industry partners. And over the past summer, we've met with dozens of people from the private sector representing life science companies to make sure that we understand what your talent needs are, to understand what your pain points are, where your skills gaps are, and where would it be smart as a state to continue to make investments to grow the talent pipeline for life sciences. As we all know, this is one of our fastest growing clusters in the state. It's one that we really want to get behind, and you even heard from the governor earlier about the importance of workforce development efforts. And so we're lucky to have so many incredible partners in higher education, in public education, but without that voice of industry, it would all be for naught, because then we're not aligning properly to what you guys need in your workforce. I am happy to say that because of the hard work that our team has done and in partnership with our legislative body, we've got a $7.125 million ongoing request into the governor's budget right now, fingers crossed. And the whole purpose of that is to continue to grow and expand programs to feed the life sciences workforce. And so anyone would be helpful in talking about this, how important this is for the state and really developing out workforce. So we're going to go ahead and get into the panel now, and we just want to start by having each panelist maybe take a few minutes to introduce yourself, your role, and the organization you represent.
Hi, my name is Melisa Stark, and I'm the Commissioner of Apprenticeship Programs for the state of Utah and housed within the Department of Workforce Services. So I work closely with employers and education providers and individuals to help develop apprenticeship programs, pre-apprenticeships, youth apprenticeships, and then connect the dots.
Hi, I'm Jenni Abbott. I'm the Assistant Vice President of Workforce Training and Education at Salt Lake Community College. And we do, in my area, we do a lot of skills-based training. We work directly with employers, several dozen employers, to understand what their skills needs are and build programs for them.
Hello, I'm Scott England. I'm the Vice President of Injection Molding at Merit Medical. And I've been very much involved in career development and employee development with regard to technical skills.
Aaron Davis. I'm the founding director for the Center for Precision Medicine and Functional Genomics. I'm also the associate dean for the College of Science, Engineering, and Technology. So I focus on the education side. We are very eager to partner with industry and understand what your needs are, because we're very invested in training students so that they're job ready.
My name is Peter Trapa. I'm Dean of the College of Science at the University of Utah, where a lot of the disciplines that feed the life science industry reside. I also work with our President's Office on workforce initiatives for the life sciences industry. So like Aaron said, we're very interested in aligning our programs with your needs.
I'm Darcy Carter. I'm the chair of the Department of Health Administrative Services, which is a very broad department with 9 different programs, including a certificate in post-bac certificate in regulatory affairs and quality. And we have a long history of as a department of working with the healthcare sector and now life sciences industry in creating educational programs to meet the needs of industry and partnerships. So we're excited to do the same.
Thank you. Thank you for those introductions. Again, just an incredible body of people that are really dedicated and doing things that mean something to industry, aligning programs to industry demand, and we want to hear more about that. And so what we hope to accomplish with the rest of the panel today is to eliminate any awareness gaps that are going on. I know that sometimes, my background mostly is in the private sector in the advanced manufacturing arena, and sometimes we just don't know about the incredible work that's going on our campuses. And so we hope to close any of those awareness gaps today and really look at this as the talent, continuum across life sciences, because we know we need everything from PhDs to very specialized production technicians, quality people, R&D people, and really am excited to hear about the different programs that these institutions and companies are running. So let's start with Aaron Davis. Specifically, could you talk to us about what are some specific programs Utah Tech is running to prepare students for life science careers?
Absolutely. So Utah Tech recently underwent a name change, and with that name change, we became Utah Tech, and we also took on a new focus, and that is a polytechnic mission. Now, I will admit, when I was a faculty member, I did not know what polytechnic meant. The goal of polytechnic is very much career-ready, skills-based, industry-driven, and so we've adopted that fully, especially in the life sciences sector and biology and chemistry departments. And so for us, we are very in tune with connecting with industry partners, knowing what your needs are, understanding what skills you need in students, and even helping us to guide what programs we develop. So we will occasionally meet with industry partners. They'll tell us, hey, this is a critical need in this field. There's nobody training anybody in that, and we are developing new programs in that all the time. So we're always eager to develop new programs, even if it's at the certificate level, to make sure that your needs are being met. And I will say one thing I love about my job and being in education, it's phenomenal because I can call any industry and just say, hey, I represent a university, I'm trying to help students, and people are always really eager to talk to us. If I could give advice, and I know that's not what your question was, but be eager to talk to educators because we need to know what are the skills gaps? What are the competencies that you need students to have? What are the programs that we need to be developing? How do we need to tweak classes? And so we have an industry advisory board. We are constantly trying, each department, I should say, has an industry advisory board. We're constantly trying to fine tune, okay, what are the skill sets that this class is teaching? Are students really ready? We'll talk, I think, a little bit later about some of the deep tech initiatives that we've had. But one challenge that we have in Southern Utah, I always love coming to the Wasatch Front because there are so many amazing life science companies. Washington County is still developing. And Washington County is a great place to retire. Washington County is also a great place to set up a biotech company because we have talent, we have the need down there. But one challenge we have is how do you provide opportunities for students when you don't necessarily have a company that you can send them to do an internship? And so one initiative that we've taken on is what we call Innovation Labs. We partner with private sector companies and we create on-campus internship. So for example, if a company has a punch list of we are working on these projects, we have 15 initiatives that we have, we can only really focus on 5. Well, why don't you take 6 or 7 and give it to us? Let a team of students and a faculty member that is mentoring them work through that project with you. It gives students real work experience, but it also gives you an opportunity to see the type of talent that's being developed and to collaborate with us on a project. And that's one of the initiatives that we've really leaned into, and it's an opportunity that is great for our students, and we think that it benefits life science companies as well.
Thank you, Aaron. Great example on how project-based learning can be equally as impactful almost as a student being at a facility. And it almost gives this opportunity to have a sandbox for students to learn, students to engage, and to study on things that are being done in the real world and really closes that gap on the connectivity to the workforce. Melisa, same question. In terms of apprenticeships, what you're doing in the state, what are some current programs you guys are providing to build life sciences?
I'm so glad you asked because when people think of the word apprenticeship, they often think of internship and they often think of construction. And what I think some would be surprised to know is that we actually have apprenticeship programs in IT, cybersecurity, healthcare, advanced manufacturing, besides the traditional apprenticeship models. But the key is what everyone else has mentioned, identifying what the needs of industry are and then building around that. Some of the exciting things that we have going on is that we are able to help through that process. We help you develop what we call a work process and identify what would be taught on the job versus what's going to be taught in the classroom. And then all parties are in agreement. They understand that first and foremost, an apprenticeship is a job. They are hired by the company. They are expected to be treated like any other employee. But the difference is they're going to be receiving a level of mentoring that may not be received by all employees. But that's because you're taking them on to help train them in that occupation. And an apprenticeship provides a new way to hire people. Our traditional model of having an opening, posting a job, waiting for applicants, trying to hire, just isn't enough. It works for some positions, but it doesn't work when you're trying to hire repeatably for the same position or for a number of positions all at the same time. And so we look at how can we help meet some of those gaps and show how an apprenticeship can be used, whether it's in an entry-level position, whether it's someone that's an incumbent worker that you brought in an entry-level position and thought, this person would be a rock star if they had this training. Well, we can help you connect the dots to build that training for them so that you can help increase that skill level and move them on. Or those that have been there for a really long time and you want to put in a leadership role. We have apprenticeship opportunities as part of that as well. So really my message is that it can be done in any area and we help figure that out. But also we're looking at how can we help people be better prepared to succeed in an apprenticeship program. And this is where we work with our partners for pre-apprenticeships and youth apprenticeships. This helps with some of our marginalized populations that may need English as a second language, or they may have been out of the work market for a while. They may have stayed home or want to change careers, or even some of our youth. And so we have some great initiatives that are going on in that area as well. And just to let you know that you have us as a resource to help with that, but there's also funding available. We did just receive 2 Department of Labor grants this year. One of them is to expand capacity and modernize apprenticeships, and the other one is to help offset the costs of implementation. So tuition, fees, books, support services, which would be like transportation and childcare to help someone stay in a program and be retained in that program, but also standing a program up. Some of you have your very specialized training that you may need to do on your own. What does that look like? Do you need to build curriculum, purchase curriculum, connect with an education institution that may have that? What does that look like? And so we have funding opportunities to help offset that as well.
Thank you, Melisa. And one of the things I love about apprenticeships, one, I believe in Utah they're very much underutilized. We typically think about construction, things that are regulated, but we're really decreasing that time from when a student learns through their relative training to when they're actually demonstrating competency. It's happening more in parallel with one another. And so industry is seeing the benefit of education as well as real-time competencies and building those out with employers. Thank you. Jenni, same question to you. Specific programs and efforts you guys are doing at Salt Lake Community College for life science.
So one of the things that I'm sure you know is that in life sciences, like any industry, it's a huge spectrum of workforce needs. You need high-level trained people with lots of education. You also need entry-level jobs. And most of us up here have 1 or maybe 2 or maybe 3 lanes on that freeway. So the lane that Salt Lake Community College comes to is mostly 2. We do have a 2-year life sciences program that has courses in programs like biology or animal science that is preparatory towards moving on to a bachelor's degree and being prepared to work in higher levels in your industry. We also, in my area, do entry-level training. This is all skills-based training. And for the most part, what we do is in the manufacturing field, including medical manufacturing. So we have a program in injection molding. We have a program in quality assurance where people are trained with no experience to be able to go into that field. And I guess what I'd say is I've been in Utah now for 3 years. I came from another state, and I do a lot of research across the nation, but I have not seen the way that government, education, and industry works together in such a way as we do in Utah. It's really quite something. So there are lots of funding sources that the government has sent out to educators to be able to serve employers and do training. There are 3 specific programs that we offer. One is called Utah Works, where we work with employers who hire somebody new, and then we do their onboard training. Might be 6 days, it might be 3 weeks, it might be longer. But there's a lot of funding as we partner between employers and companies, or employers and education and the government. There's also a program called Custom Fit, where employers can come and get as much as 40% of their training costs reimbursed. Because I'm sure you all know skills, in fact, I think later I may mention something like this, the skills turn over by 25% in 5 years. And as new technology and new knowledge comes, that may increase. So it's not enough to just hire somebody and then they just keep going. There's always a need for upskilling, and that's what Custom Fit can provide. We also have a program called STIT, Short-Term Intensive Training, that will pay up to 50% of an individual's training costs to either upskill or get into an entry-level position. So lots of options. I think the key is to take advantage of the resources that the state has provided, to work closely with your educational facility that's in your area, and figure out how you can build the skills programs you need.
Thank you, Jenny. And one of the things I love that Salt Lake Community College has done is they have this workforce development department. It's tied to academia. Students can continue on. They can go to the U. They can go to Weber State afterwards. But this department is specifically set up to be agile and to be very responsive to what industry needs. So appreciate all the work you guys are doing there. Mr. England, Voice of Industry, love to hear about what you guys are doing at Merit, how you're partnering with different schools and some of the workforce programs you've been involved with. I know you've been involved with lots of ones from Talent Ready Utah, from K-12 through higher education, but would love your perspective.
Well, thank you. It's difficult to find talent when you're growing a business. Anybody that's been in that quandary, Merit Medical certainly has grown substantially from a startup in 1987 to over $1 billion in sales now annually. And that growth requires people to get the job done. And that's been a real challenge. Merit has been very involved in the community, bringing students in for tours to make them aware of the industry and different types of jobs. They do a Kid to Work program every year, which is amazingly popular. Kids really do like to learn and understand what mom or dad do at work. And it also gives them ideas of what they might want to do as they see all the different types of careers as they go from area to area. Merit's been very involved with regard to the Pathways program in Utah, was very involved in developing some of the curriculum in high school to get high school students involved in the life sciences. They helped develop the Medical Innovations Pathway, which was primarily device and laboratory. And before COVID hit, at least, I don't know where we stand today, but COVID kind of blew up a lot of things because we were very involved in having those students come into the company and have a half a day to work with an engineer. It's a great experience for high school students to learn and see what people do in their careers. The thing that we're kind of transitioning to now is actually looking at I should point out that it's awfully difficult to find certain technicians in our workforce today. It's pretty easy to find an engineer who's been trained and has all the skill sets and knowledge of physics, math, and the different sciences. It's a whole nother story to find a technician who has that experience. And so we've been looking at ways we can strengthen the technician availability, because you can hire an engineer, but you can't hire a technician most of the time, and that's where we struggle the most. And I'll talk about that in a minute.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And again, all the interactions you've had and your company has had, we want that more and more, not just in the Wasatch Front, but clear up in Logan. We have incredible things going up at USU and all throughout the state, but we need industry's involvement. We want industry's involvement, and we want that intake. We want to understand where those talent needs are so we can better prepare students to take these incredible jobs in a sector that we really don't see signs of slowing down, really only expanding throughout the state. Dean Trapa, let's go to the U now, R1 institution. Talk to us a little bit about what the U is doing to tackle life sciences.
Sure, but before I jump in to tell you about what's happening at U, I want to riff on a couple comments that have been made, in particular something that Jenny said. The needs, I don't have to tell this group, the needs of the industry really are manifold. Everything from technicians who certainly don't need four-year degrees all the way to highly specialized PhD scientists. And everyone in the system of higher education, whether it's a tech college or an R1 university, has unique strengths that they can bring to the table. And we do that as a state, as a system, better than just about everybody else, any other state in the country. And it's that spirit of collaboration, kind of the Utah way. And I think I will call out Vic here too, because he's too humble to say it. The things that Vic has done personally, and the things he's done with Talent Ready Utah, the impact that he's had, the return on the investment that we're seeing, again, the envy of really every other state in the country. So it's a great place to be in Utah. So what does the University of Utah bring? Well, naturally, we're a research-intensive university, and we have an integrated health science campus. Our medical school is co-located with the rest of our academic programs. There's only about 10 other universities. Usually the medical school is downtown or in another city. And so naturally, those are the strengths that we're gonna seek to leverage. We have literally thousands of majors in what you would consider the traditional life science disciplines: chemistry, biology, biochemistry, bioengineering, and so on and so forth. But the challenge that we have, and as others have alluded to, is that higher education is not really known for its nimbleness. Designing new curriculum, responding to the needs of industry takes a while, and getting faculty in one room to agree on anything takes a very long time. So instead, we don't try to design the curricula to respond to the needs of industry. Instead, we design the curriculum to be very flexible and fungible. And the way we do that is we build in many places where project-based learning, what Aaron and Vic were talking about earlier, plugs in. So for example, every major in the College of Science, the 8 departments that I oversee, has this component where to respond to the skills that are needed in a particular industry or a particular major, we don't add new courses or redesign courses, we plug in projects. And these are projects that come from our industry partners or that we design with the needs of industry in mind. And that has been a very powerful way that we can be nimble to respond to your needs and also exploit interdisciplinary connections. We know some of the fastest growing opportunities are in the interface, for example, with modern computing, data science, and mechanistic biology, for example, and we don't have to design new classes, we just plug in projects. Okay, if you move a little bit further up the food chain, we have a lot of really world-class graduate programs in life sciences, whether it's in biochemistry or bioengineering or biology. And one of the things we're being very deliberate about, more so than we ever have before, is making sure that the best students that we train at the undergraduate level, we don't send to the Bay Area or Boston. We'll continue to send some of our best students there, but we want them to feed into our world-class graduate programs too, to keep that talent here in Utah. And again, those programs are increasingly interdisciplinary. Modern computing is braided through everything that we do really in those graduate programs. And that's important as you think about not only the current needs of the industry, but job creation for the future, because there's a lot of really important ideas that are going to be developed in those research labs that can be commercialized into startup companies that will form the future workforce needs. And finally, one thing that the U has that maybe doesn't come to mind right away in this context is really an exceptional instrumentation core. We have highly specialized instruments that are part of our academic research mission that can be useful to our industry partners. For example, the building that where my office is, down in the basement, we have a cryo-EM, one of the only kinds of cryo-electron microscopes that exist in the Intermountain region. And more than just having the instrument, we have we maintain it and we have the staff to run it. And so instead of a company having to buy that kind of infrastructure and maintain it and train staff and hire staff, then we can partner with to leverage that instrument core and expand that. And we continue to think about ways to make that more effective for the needs of industry.
Great comments, Dean. Thank you so much. And as we were working with BioUtah and gathering up all these industry partners over the summer, getting intake, Dean Trapa was one of the first ones, him and President Randall, to say, we want a stake in this too. And so we actually had a great event. We brought in all the different deans from life sciences across the state, got their input, learned from what they're doing, some of the benchmarks things. So we were able to really pull together what we're hearing from industry, what we're doing in higher education, which I think really put together that really good RFA that we have for the state this year. And technicians, mention on technicians more. Darcy, would love to hear more about what Weber State's doing in developing talent for life sciences.
Sure, great. I'll try to keep this brief, but Weber State University has always been a teaching-focused university, and we're really known for our personalized learning experiences and high-impact educational experiences. And we're finding through research that those are the things that are starting to set students apart to actually be successful in the industries in which they go into. About 75% of our students graduate in something that's work-ready. So it's very much what we're looking for in the health sciences industry. Folks that come out, they've had those types of experiences with faculty, they've had those high-impact learning experiences, they come out in a work-ready profession. And so, I come from the Department of Health Administrative Services at Weber State University, but we're housed in the largest college on campus, so you may or may not know that the College of Health Professions is our largest college on campus. And that's something that Weber State's been known for a long time. And why does that matter? Well, we have a lot of alumni. We have tens of thousands of alumni that have graduated in things such as medical laboratory science or nursing or a lot of other different majors, right? They may be at a point in their career where they're ready to retool, where they're ready to upskill, where they're ready to look for a different position in the industry. And so based on kind of some of that base, as well as a College of Science and a College of Engineering, Science, and Technology, which, those folks also play into this mix, we created this regulatory affairs certificate. And it was actually something that we created because industry came to us and asked us if we would be interested to do this. And so it's a post-baccalaureate regulatory affairs certificate that's for any bachelor's degree, so a student coming in with any bachelor's degree. And it's a broad base that's going to be able to help these folks be able to plug into all different aspects of the life sciences industry. And it can be some of our alums that I mentioned that are coming back looking for a change in careers. It can be students that we have currently in an undergraduate or graduate program looking to go into this industry, or folks from industry life science companies looking to send individuals to come and get more education to be able to move to that next level within their specific company. And one of the things that's exciting about this is being able to continue that personalized learning experience, those high-impact educational experiences through internships and other ways. I liked hearing that. A lot of these programs are talking about that. How do we connect with industry? How do we let industry connect with our students or connect with folks that are working in their organizations even? Maybe they do an internship as part of their educational experience at their own organization. We have students do this all the time with someone in a different area of the organization to be able to see what they can do, and maybe that's going to help them change that career trajectory and be able to help the organization. So that's just one of the things we're working on.
No, thank you, Darcy. And I know that on all these companies we were talking to, again, over the summer, at least a third of them mentioned regulatory compliance is a huge skill set that a lot of our folks in bachelor's programs just don't have. And so hearing the responsiveness, how you guys built this out in such quick time to meet that demand is great for me to hear from, and probably more for the industry partners to hear, the response time, the feedback loop that can happen, when working in the right channels. So we asked a general question to everybody. I want to get into the more specifics now. Aaron, we're going to start with you. We know that there's lots of different scientific advances in life sciences. The engineering advances, they happen quick. Deep Tech is a program that the legislature has funded to really give awards out to institutions of higher education to build out the leading edge workforce. Looking at things we may not even be thinking yet about in academia, but it's on your guys' mind all the time. Will you talk to us just a couple minutes about what Utah Tech is doing in the fields of Deep Tech?
Absolutely. So is I go out and talk to industry, it's great because when you get employers in a room, let them talk long enough and they'll start complaining about higher ed. And I get it, because there's oftentimes just a gap between higher ed and the skill sets that we're giving to students and the skills that you need. And I've come to view this as, one challenge in higher ed is oftentimes higher ed institutions tend to be very focused on research, and research isn't necessarily innovation. One great position that Utah Tech is in is that we've never been focused that much on research. We're a teaching institution. We teach first. But we can now sort of skip over that research step and just go straight for the innovation. And I will say for the record, I think the U does phenomenal at both research and innovation.
Thank you.
But you look at a lot of, like, especially R1s, like, they don't do great at innovation. And so Deep Tech is really an inherently innovative program, because we're looking at, okay, what are the jobs of the future? What are the skill sets that students are going to need, not now, but in 10 years, and can really fuel the talent need of companies as they grow? And we leaned into that because we love innovation, and we like to focus on just job readiness. And so Utah Tech, through Deep Tech, has been able to receive 2 Deep Tech grants, one in the area of functional genomics and one in the area of machine learning within the life sciences. We strongly believe that in 10 years, every life science company is going to be a machine learning company. And so we're developing a machine learning program specifically for life scientists, not only training sort of the bachelor's level graduates in machine learning so that they understand and can collaborate with the computational experts, and they can understand the workflows and processes that you have to do, but also creating graduate certificates, so molecular biologists and biochemists who have maybe master's degrees or PhDs can come back and acquire skill sets in machine learning so that they can contribute effectively to companies that are trying to incorporate machine learning into their workflows. And we feel that this is just the critical step, and this is an area that we want to be very active in. And we like that because, again, the more students are able to participate in innovative programs and actually participate in that innovation, they're going to be better employees for you, they're going to be better problem solvers, they're going to think more critically, and they're going to contribute more effectively to your companies.
Yeah, thank you. And exciting stuff going on at Utah Tech, and the zebrafish lab was an incredible, example of that. And I got to mess around with some of this. I feel like I'm an armchair biotechnician at some sorts. Melisa, again, back to apprenticeships. Why apprenticeships? Why is this an avenue for workforce development, and how can employers get engaged in this?
Why? Well, I think because there's something to be learned from a model that has worked for other industries for hundreds or not thousands of years. I think there's some things that we can take from them and tweak and make work for your industry. And I think when we talked initially, the way we've been doing things doesn't always work. You can't continue to expect a different result and hire more people when we do things the same way. And with Utah's unemployment rate so low, we have to find different ways to find people. And sometimes that means training them. Being able to train someone to your specific needs really helps you become not just a consumer of talent, but a producer of talent. One of the things that I think is really tough for our institutions is to be able to train to the very specific needs to every single different employer that's in the room. That's just not feasible for them or profitable for them. Can they provide the foundational skills? Absolutely. Should they do that? Absolutely. But then there's always going to be, even when you have someone from the best world-class program, there's always something that you do differently as part of your onboarding process. And so some of these things you already do is just formalizing that process for repeatable results through an apprenticeship program is the way we like to describe that. And so really, I look at it as just another avenue to attract workforce and to allow someone into the fields that they may not have been able to get into up till now. This gets them their foot in the door, gets them some training, and gets them a job. And so, that's what we're doing, is trying to find ways to help you meet your workforce needs, and this is just another way to do that. This really is an opportunity for anyone. The youngest apprentice in the state is 16, the oldest is 78. And so you're never too young or too, well, I guess you can be too young. There are some jobs please don't hire someone 14 to do some of the jobs that you have. But really, I just say that because I just want people to think differently about apprenticeships, because it's not something we have done before. A couple of models of this is, we talked about entry level, but we also have some apprenticeships that are embedded in degree programs. Right now we're working with the University of Utah College of Social Work, where you receive some of your didactic training through your bachelor's degree program. You have to do an internship, and then you're eligible to apply for an apprenticeship. in order to receive your SUDC certification or your substance abuse disorder counselor certification. So I just share that with you to show that we really are looking at broad ways to apply apprenticeship programs to help meet your needs, whether they be entry level or further down the career line.
Perfect, thank you. And again, apprenticeship's a great workforce model, one that's not as utilized in Utah as we like to see it. I know we're kind of getting a little bit shorter on time. We may not be able to do the slides that some of you guys are prepared, but Darcy, I do want to hear more from you just for a minute on why is it so important to have industry engagement when you guys are creating new curriculum?
Yeah, I think that's important, and I really appreciated Dean Trapa's comment about being nimble. That's something higher education has not been known for that much. But you know what? Being able to connect with industry and hearing from you on how we can do that more effectively helps us to be more nimble. As Vic mentioned, we put a program together pretty quickly because we were able to hear the needs of industry and be much more nimble and agile than we maybe are at other times because of that industry saying, we need this, this is why. Here are representatives from multiple life science companies across the state saying, we need this. And when a university president hears that and a provost hears that, it moves the needle much faster, and there are ways to get past some of those hurdles that we've had in the past. And so industry engagement is so important. Being able to start there, being able to also make changes. So, we heard that everything changes so fast in our industry today. And there's no way we can know exactly what we need to teach students that they need to know in 5 years or 20 years or whatever it may be. But being able to have you connect with us and talk to us about what that's looking like and how it's changing. And, we using adjuncts from the industry that are doing that every single day, that are coming and talking to students about, this is what I'm doing today, this is where my organization's heading right now. I think that's really important. And then just that connection back with us to create opportunities for students to get into your organizations and whether there's a lot of words being used up here, whether it's capstone, internship, and apprenticeship, whatever it may be, being willing to take the time to engage with students and allow them to come and have those opportunities is something that helps move your organization forward, helps you be able to find the talent that you need, and also helps industry know exactly what's going on and what they should be teaching. Because you know what, those students come back and say, hey, did you know this is happening at this organization and they're doing this, and that's something that maybe you should put in this course, or that's something you should maybe talk about. And so that industry engagement is just vitally important.
Perfect, thank you. Jenni, for a moment, I know you guys are all about skills-based learning and competencies. Talk to us about alignment of skills for industry and occupations and why that's so important.
So I have a deep background in labor market research, and I always look at it. And it's gotten quite sophisticated. So one of the things we do before we build a program is pull the labor market data for an industry that can show us, here's how many jobs are open in Salt Lake County. Here's the average wage people are being paid, and here's a list of skills. And now it's gotten to a point where it'll say, and if they add these skills, they're going to be able to advance. So it's not just about attracting talent in this labor market environment, it's about retaining it. And a lot of times that means what can you do now, and then how can you upskill as you go. I remember one time we had a company come in and we showed them our program, because we can't build 500 unique programs. But we walked through and they said, we like this, we like that, we don't need that, and please add this. And because we're non-credit, we were able to deliver that within 2 weeks. So we can adjust fairly quickly knowing what it is. I typically meet with 6 or 7 different industry partners, and I'll bring a big labor market report that shows them all of these things. And of course, it's unique to each different company, but they'll say, yes, no, maybe, but it starts a really good conversation. So we want to help you be able to upskill your incumbent workforce, because skills are changing, and find people with no experience and bring them into an entry-level lane.
Perfect, thank you. Dean, we've heard a lot from you about project-based learning. 30 seconds. Project-based learning, tell me why this is so important for industry to get involved
Okay,
with.
start the clock. So let me tell you how it works. We have 500 freshmen, first-year students on campus, actually including some transfer students, who are now engaged in this project-based learning program. They're being placed into 50 different streams, about 10 students each. Those 50 streams are based on projects that we're getting from our industry partners in part. Some of them we design ourselves based on what we think the needs are of the industry. Some are designed directly from our industry partners. So if you want to get involved in that, if anybody wants to learn about how they can get in front of these students early in their careers, these aren't capstones, these aren't internships, these are early career project-based learning opportunities based on partnerships with industry. If you're interested in sponsoring one, getting involved, just come up, talk to me afterwards, or see us at the table outside the College of Science.
Perfect. Thank you, Dean. And we'll wrap it up with the voice of industry. And Scott, this wasn't the question I intended on asking you, but to your peers, why is it so important to be involved in education and developing talent?
Well, like I mentioned, at least at the technician level, across the industry, it's very difficult to find that talent. And so we've developed courses internally to support that, where people can see the career path and they can work towards advancement within the company, Merit Medical. The challenge really is, how do we get people interested in the industry without actually coming in the door as an entry-level person? And that's been the challenge we've had. So we're hoping that, apprenticeship programs can help high school students and other people. It doesn't have to be a high school student. It can be somebody that's interested in a different career. We hope that they'll see the career path to eventually be able to, become a technician and increase their wage and learning and career satisfaction. So.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you, panelists, so much. I know we're out of time, but could we give a round of applause to these incredible panelists today?